You were not born to fit into someone else's maybe. You were born to be the reason they stop searching. So ask yourself right now, are you settling for being an option, or are you standing tall as a priority? Because life, love, dreams, success, they don't reward the ones who wait to be chosen. They reward the ones who choose themselves first. You were not born to be someone's second thought. You were not created to fit into a world that tells you to shrink until you're likable, quiet until you're accepted, or small enough to fit into the comfort zones of others. You were born to disrupt, to challenge, to stand out, and that begins with one simple truth: knowing your worth before anyone else does. Because if you wait for people to tell you who you are, they'll hand you their limitations and call it love. And you'll believe it until one day you wake up realizing you've been living beneath your potential, waiting for a recognition that was always supposed to start with you. Every time you underestimate yourself, the world does too. You teach people how to treat you by the energy you project. When you move like you doubt your value, they will too. When you speak softly about your dreams, they'll whisper your name in rooms where you deserve to be shouted. But the moment you stand in your truth, unapologetically, confidently, the tone changes. People sense it, they adjust. You don't need to demand attention, your certainty commands it. The world starts responding differently when you stop asking for permission to exist in your fullness. The thing about knowing your worth is, it's not a single realization, it's a lifestyle, it's a daily decision, it's choosing to honor yourself in every conversation, every relationship, every opportunity. It's saying no when your gut whispers that something doesn't align. It's walking away even when your heart aches because your peace costs more than temporary validation. It's refusing to settle for half love, half effort, half recognition. Because your worth doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see it. If they can't recognize your light, that's not your flaw, it's their blindness. You don't dim for them, you keep shining until they have no choice but to look up. But here's the truth no one tells you. Owning your worth isn't always glamorous. It's lonely sometimes, it's uncomfortable. It's filled with moments where you question everything. Am I asking for too much? Should I have just accepted that offer? Maybe I was too demanding. Let me tell you this, you are not asking for too much. You are asking the wrong people. The right people will see your value and rise to meet it. The wrong ones will call your standards arrogance because it's easier to label your strength than admit their weakness. The journey to self-worth will test your patience, your resilience, your faith. But that's the price of becoming unshakable. When you know your worth, you stop chasing people who treat you like an option. You stop begging for attention, validation, or understanding. You realize that silence is louder than any argument you could ever make. You understand that walking away isn't weakness, it's power. You stop being available to situations that drain your energy and start investing that energy into becoming the best version of yourself. Because here's the thing, when you pour into your own growth, everything changes. Your walk changes, your tone changes, your aura shifts. People can feel it even before you speak. You begin to attract experiences, relationships, and opportunities that match your level of self-respect. That's the magic of alignment. It starts with worth. And when that transformation happens, the world starts mirroring back everything you believed about yourself. You'll see it in how people approach you. You'll feel it in the way rooms open up for you. You'll notice it in the way you no longer tolerate chaos disguised as connection. You stop needing to prove anything because your inner GY does the talking. You carry yourself with quiet power, the kind that doesn't need applause to be valid. You stop seeking external validation because your internal world is already rooted in truth. That's when life begins to shift. Not because the world changed, but because you did. And that change, that deep understanding of who you are, becomes the foundation for everything you will ever build. So, let this be your reminder. Stop waiting for them to see your value before you start believing it. You are the prize, you are the energy, you are the main character in your own story, not a supporting role in someone else's. The moment you decide to stop being an option and start living like the priority you are, everything begins to align. Your worth isn't negotiable, it isn't conditional, it isn't something they give you, it's something you own. Stand in that power, speak from it, move with it. Because the world doesn't need another person seeking approval, it needs more people who know who they are and refuse to settle for less. Never be an option, be the priority. Always wow. Stop trying to prove yourself in rooms that were never built for your kind of power. You weren't designed to fit into spaces that shrink your presence. You were made to expand them. There's a difference between wanting to belong and trying to blend in. One honors your essence, the other buries it. When you spend your energy competing for attention, you hand your power to people who were never meant to validate you. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone who cannot recognize excellence when it's standing right in front of them. Because real power doesn't scream. It simply exists, and its presence shifts the air in the room. You were not born to compete, you were born to command. Commanding doesn't mean arrogance. It means authority over your own life. It means walking into every space knowing you bring something no one else can replicate. That's not ego, that's awareness. You can't lead with confidence if you keep asking for confirmation. Commanders don't ask if their voice matters. They speak because it does. You have to stop doubting your right to take up space. The world doesn't owe you acknowledgement. It's your job to claim it. The moment you stop asking to be included and start acting like you belong, the dynamic changes. You're no longer a participant, you're a force. You don't compete for attention, you magnetize it through certainty, preparation, and purpose. When you know who you are, competition becomes irrelevant. You realize there's no need to chase what's already yours. You can't lose what's aligned for you, and you can't win what's meant for someone else. So why waste energy measuring your pace against anyone else's? The only person you should be outgrowing is yesterday's version of yourself. Comparison is a thief of joy, but it's also a killer of creativity. You can't build something extraordinary if you're too busy mimicking someone else's blueprint. Greatness doesn't follow trends, it sets them. So instead of asking, how can I be better than them? Ask, how can I be more of me? That's where your true power begins. There's something magnetic about people who move with intention. They don't chase approval, they attract respect. They don't speak the loudest, but when they do, everyone listens. You can feel their energy before they even enter the room because they lead from a place of alignment, not insecurity. When you command your presence, you shift the way people respond to you. You stop needing validation, and instead you create influence. That kind of energy doesn't come from titles or followers. It comes from discipline, self-awareness, and the courage to show up consistently. People trust those who trust themselves. So if you want the world to take you seriously, start by taking yourself seriously. Don't lower your standards just to be accepted in spaces that don't deserve you. The right rooms will feel different. You won't have to fight to be heard. You'll be invited to speak. You won't have to convince people of your value. They'll already see it. Stop auditioning for roles that compromise your integrity. You don't need to dim your brilliance to make others comfortable. You can't lead from the shadows. And you don't elevate by pretending to be less. The moment you shrink to fit, you give others permission to define your limits. But when you rise unapologetically, when you decide to own your seat at the table, that's when the game changes. The table no longer defines you, you define it. Understand this, leadership isn't about control, it's about conviction. It's the quiet strength that says, I know who I am, and I know what I bring. You don't have to prove that light exists, you just have to shine. Every time you hold back because you fear being too much, you rob the world of the fire it needs. Every time you stay silent to keep the peace, you teach others that your voice doesn't matter. But it does. Your vision matters, your perspective matters, your story matters. And if the world isn't ready for your voice, then it's time to build a stage of your own. Don't compete for their spotlight. Create one so bright they have no choice but to see you. Hey, you were never meant to compete for attention. You are meant to command respect. Stop trying to fit into rooms where your light feels like a threat. You don't need their validation to be powerful, you already are. Power isn't about being the loudest in the room, it's about being the most certain. Speak with purpose, move with conviction, lead with integrity, be so rooted in who you are that no comparison, no criticism, no competition can shake your ground. You are not here to prove, you are here to be. So own your presence, walk in your truth, and let your energy do the talking. Never compete, always command. That's where true power lives. Options are distractions dressed as opportunities. They come in shiny packages, wrapped in promises, whispering that you should wait, just in case something better comes along. But the truth is, every time you allow yourself to be treated as an option, you give away a piece of your power. You start doubting your worth, lowering your expectations, accepting inconsistency as effort. You start mistaking breadcrumbs for meals and attention for affection. And before you know it, you've built a life around uncertainty, half invested, half loved, half seen. But you weren't born for halves. You were built for wholeness, for clarity, for the kind of energy that doesn't question where it stands. If someone sees you as an option, that's not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of their vision. They can't see your worth because they're looking from a place of confusion. Don't join them there. Rise above it. When you allow optional energy in your life, it begins to spread like smoke. It blurs your focus, clouds your confidence, and suffocates your purpose. It's not just about relationships, it's about everything. Your goals, your career, your dreams. If you treat your ambitions like options, they'll treat you like one too. If you say maybe later to your goals, life will answer back, maybe never. You can't build greatness in a mindset of indecision. You must be deliberate. You must be all in. If you want a life that reflects commitment, you have to stop entertaining the things that only show up halfway. Optional energy feels safe because it doesn't demand much, but that's exactly why it destroys potential. Comfort kills growth. And every time you choose comfort over conviction, you delay your destiny. Optional energy also hides behind excuses. It disguises itself as keeping your options open, as if indecision were a sign of wisdom. But let's be honest, it's fear. Fear of missing out, fear of rejection, fear of making the wrong choice. Yet the greatest mistake you can ever make is living life in the waiting room of what if. Commitment doesn't trap you, it frees you. It gives you direction, momentum, and power. Because when you decide fully, fiercely, you activate something inside you that half-hearted effort never could. You stop chasing clarity and start creating it. You stop waiting for perfect timing and start shaping it. Life rewards the bold, not the hesitant. And every dream that's ever changed the world started with someone saying, "I'm all in, not I'll see how it goes." In your relationships, optional energy is the silent destroyer. It's when someone treats you like a backup plan, keeps you around for convenience, or offers affection that expires as soon as something else catches their attention. You deserve more than almost. You deserve people who show up like they mean it, consistently, intentionally, wholeheartedly. Because when someone truly values you, they don't keep you guessing. They don't make you compete for clarity. They make sure you know exactly where you stand. And if you find yourself constantly questioning your place in someone's life, that's your answer. The confusion is your closure. Don't beg for the certainty you can give yourself. Don't settle for sometimes when you are made for always. When people show you that you are an option, let that be the last time you let them choose. Cutting off optional energy isn't about pride. It's about peace. It's about reclaiming your time, your focus, your emotional balance. It's about understanding that you can't build stability in chaos. The people and opportunities meant for you won't make you chase them. They'll match your energy. They'll meet you where you are. They'll bring calm instead of confusion. So when you start removing optional energy from your life, expect resistance. Expect people to call you cold, detached, or demanding. Let them. because boundaries are only offensive to those who benefited from your lack of them. You're not hard to love, you're just done settling for the kind of love that comes with conditions. When you stop tolerating optional behavior, you make space for people who choose you on purpose, not by convenience. And here's the truth. Once you eliminate optional energy, everything changes. Your circle will get smaller but stronger. Your goals get clearer. Your confidence rises. You stop wasting energy on proving your worth and start living it. You begin to attract people and opportunities that mirror your commitment. The universe responds to decisiveness. When you say no to indecision, life says yes to alignment. You stop being drained by things that never deserved your effort in the first place. This is how you reclaim your power, not by forcing anyone to prioritize you, but by prioritizing yourself so unapologetically that anything less falls away naturally. You are not an option. You are the main event. The moment you embrace that truth, your entire energy shifts, and the world starts treating you accordingly. And never forget this. Optional energy is a silent thief. It steals your time, your peace, your potential. Stop letting it. You are not created to be someone's backup plan or life side project. You are made to be chosen, not considered. So stop negotiating your value in spaces that don't recognize it. Choose yourself first, fully, fiercely, every single time. Walk away from half effort, half love, half recognition. Be the one who demands clarity, who sets the tone, who leads with certainty. Because the moment you decide you'll never be an option again, you become unstoppable. You become aligned. You become whole. And from that moment on, everything in your life starts rising to meet the standard you set. Never be an option. Be the priority. Always .aware. Rejection is not a reflection of your weakness. It's a revelation of your redirection. Every no you've ever faced wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to build you. But in the moment, it doesn't feel that way, does it? It feels personal. It feels like failure. It feels like proof that you weren't enough. That's the lie rejection tells you. It convinces you that denial equals deficiency. But it doesn't. Rejection is not the universe saying you don't deserve it. It's saying not here, not now, not this way. And when you learn to see it from that lens, your entire story changes. Because rejection, when understood correctly, is redirection towards something far greater than what you were reaching for. The pain you feel is temporary. The lesson it leaves is permanent. We've been taught to fear rejection as if it defines our worth. But the truth is, rejection refines it. Every time someone says no to you, you get an opportunity to grow. You get stronger, smarter, sharper. You learn what works and what doesn't. You discover resilience you never knew you had. Think back to every door that closed in your life. Didn't it eventually lead you to something better? Maybe it took time, maybe it hurt, but every setback carved out the path that brought you here. Rejection is a sculptor. It chips away at your doubts and insecurities until all that's left is clarity. The mistake most people make is standing in front of a closed door so long they forget to notice the open one behind them. Sometimes the rejection you're crying over is the protection you'll thank later. The people who reject you are often unknowingly saving you. They're removing themselves from chapters they were never meant to be in. You see, sometimes what you think you lost wasn't a blessing. It was a burden disguised as opportunity. Life will never take away what's truly meant for you. What's yours can't be stolen. What leaves you was never anchored in alignment. But here's the thing. You can't see that in the moment. It takes hindsight. It takes healing. It takes maturity to understand that rejection is not punishment. It's preparation. You're being trained for something that requires a stronger version of you. Every rejection is a rehearsal for your resilience. Every disappointment builds your discipline. When you realize this, you stop taking it personally. You start taking it strategically. When rejection shows up, you have two choices. You can let it define you, or you can let it direct you. One keeps you stuck in self-doubt. The other launches you into self-mastery. The difference lies in perspective. You can cry about what didn't work, or you can analyze it, adapt, and evolve. You can allow rejection to make you bitter, or you can let it make you better. The strongest people you admire didn't get there because life said yes to them all the time. They got there because they kept showing up after every no. They used rejection as fuel. They built empires out of what was supposed to destroy them. That's the secret. Rejection is not your ending. It's the invitation to rewrite your beginning. But let's be honest. Rejection still hurts. It stings. It cuts deep because it strikes the most sensitive part of us, our ego. It makes us question our identity, our purpose, our abilities. That's normal. It's human. You're allowed to feel that pain. You're allowed to be disappointed. But you can't build your future from the ashes of why me. At some point, you must shift from mourning the loss to mastering the lesson. Ask yourself, what did this rejection teach me? What did it reveal about what I truly want? How can I grow from this? When you start asking those questions, you turn rejection into wisdom. You stop seeing it as a wall and start seeing it as a mirror, reflecting back what needs refining. Growth often comes disguised as pain, and rejection is simply its most honest messenger. And one day, you'll look back and realize that every rejection led you exactly where you were meant to go. You'll understand that the job you didn't get freed you for the one that changed your life. The person who walked away made space for the one who would never leave. The door that closed rerouted you to the one that opened into destiny. That's the beauty of it all. Rejection is not the enemy. It's the architect of your evolution. Every no was guiding you, shaping you, preparing you. So the next time rejection knocks, smile. Because now you know it's not the end of something. It's the beginning of something bigger. You are not being pushed away, you're being pushed forward. And remember this, rejection is not a wound, it's a weapon. It sharpens you, it strengthens you, it aligns you. Stop fearing it, start using it. Every time life says no, hear it as next. Every time someone turns their back, see it as space for someone better to walk in. You are not defined by who walked away or what didn't work. You are defined by how you rise after it. Let rejection refine your purpose, not ruin your peace. Let it remind you that your story isn't over, it's just taking a new direction. Because what's meant for you will never reject you. It will recognize you, respect you, and rise to meet you. Rejection is not your ending, it's your elevation. Your standards are not walls. They are boundaries that define how deeply you value yourself. They are the invisible lines that tell the world what you will and will not allow into your life. But here's what most people get wrong. They think having standards makes you difficult. They think it makes you unapproachable, intimidating, or too picky. The truth? Having standards makes you clear. And clarity will always scare the ones who thrive in confusion. You're not asking for too much, you're just asking people to show up at the level you operate. Those who cannot meet you there will label you demanding, but that's only because they benefited from your silence before. Don't lower your standards to make others comfortable. The people meant for you will never see your boundaries as barriers. They'll see them as the map to your peace. When you lead with standards, you shift the entire energy of your life. You no longer tolerate inconsistency or settle for explanations that sound good but never match behavior. You stop chasing people to prove your worth. Instead, you start attracting those who already recognize it. Standards teach the world how to treat you, but they also teach you how to treat yourself. You start noticing the difference between attention and intention, between being wanted and being valued, between someone staying because it's convenient and someone staying because it's real. You realize that protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's survival. The higher your standards rise, the quieter your circle becomes. And that's okay. Peace loves small spaces. There comes a point in your journey when you realize that lowering your standards doesn't bring you closer to love, success, or belonging. It just brings you closer to exhaustion. You can't keep negotiating your worth for temporary validation. Every time you say it's okay when it's not, you tell the world you're willing to settle for less. Every time you make excuses for someone's lack of effort, you teach them they don't have to give more. And soon you start living in a cycle of almost. Almost loved, almost valued, almost respected. But almost is never enough. You deserve the kind of life that meets you fully. You deserve to be surrounded by people and opportunities that align with your standards, not challenge them. Standards aren't restrictions, they are filters that separate what's meant for you from what drains you. It takes courage to enforce your standards in a world that glorifies compromise. People will tell you to soften, to be more flexible, to settle just this once. But the moment you bend for others, they'll expect you to break again. Consistency in your standards is what builds respect. It's not enough to know your worth. You must protect it. You protect it by saying no when something doesn't align. You protect it by walking away when your peace feels at risk. You protect it by choosing solitude over situationships, authenticity over approval, alignment over attachment. Because when you compromise your standards, you're not showing love. You're showing fear. Fear of losing people. Fear of being alone. But loneliness with integrity will always be lighter than connection built on compromise. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your standards. You don't owe them a debate or a defense. You owe yourself peace. The people who truly belong in your life will never ask you to shrink your boundaries to make them fit. They'll expand with you. They'll understand that your standards aren't about control. They're about clarity. You're not building walls, you're building gates, and not everyone gets the key. Because when you start valuing your energy, your time, your heart, you become selective. Not because you think you're better, but because you finally realize how precious your life is. The more you honor yourself, the less you tolerate chaos disguised as connection. The stronger your boundaries, the purer your peace. And once you truly begin to live this way, everything changes. You start walking differently. You speak differently. You stop apologizing for expecting effort, respect, and loyalty. You stop being afraid of losing people who were never meant to stay. You understand that saying no doesn't make you rude, it makes you free. You start attracting people who match your energy, opportunities that align with your purpose, and experiences that reflect your growth. You realize that your standards were never too high, they were just too high for the wrong people. And the moment you refuse to settle, the universe starts rearranging everything to meet you where you belong. Because when you hold your standard, you hold your power. Remember this, your standards are your strength, not your shame. Don't dim them for anyone. Don't water them down for comfort or companionship. You are not here to fit into spaces that require you to shrink. You are here to rise into rooms that can hold your light. The people who can't meet your standards will call you unyielding. But the truth is, you're just done accepting less than you deserve. Never apologize for expecting consistency, respect, or honesty. These are not luxuries, they are basics. And those who cannot meet your standards are simply not qualified to stand beside you. Protect your peace, honor your worth, lead with standards, not apologies. Because when you do, you don't just elevate your life, you redefine it. You want others to prioritize you. But let's start with the real question. Do you prioritize yourself? Because the way you treat yourself sets the tone for how the world treats you. Too many people wait for someone else to recognize their value before they decide to live like they have it. But life doesn't work that way. You teach others how to see you by the way you see yourself. When you constantly put yourself last, when you say yes to everything and everyone but your own peace, you're telling the world that your needs are negotiable. And the world will always take advantage of what you make optional. You can't expect to be anyone's priority until you become your own. Self-respect is not selfish, it's sacred. It's the foundation upon which everything else in your life is built. When you start prioritizing yourself, you stop begging to be seen and start commanding to be respected. When you put yourself first, something powerful happens. You stop chasing and start choosing. You stop living reactively, waiting for life to hand you moments of happiness, and you start creating them. You begin to understand that your time is a currency, and where you spend it reveals what you truly value. If you keep investing your energy in people who drain you, dreams that don't fulfill you, or environments that limit you, you'll always feel bankrupt, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. But the moment you redirect that energy back into yourself, everything begins to change. You start attracting people who match your frequency, not feed on it. You start seeing opportunities that align with your vision. Because prioritizing yourself, F isn't just about saying no to others. It's about saying yes to the version of you that's been waiting to emerge. Being your own priority doesn't mean cutting everyone out or walking alone. It means walking aligned. It's knowing when to give and when to guard, when to pour and when to pause. You can't pour from an empty cup, and yet so many people spend their lives running on empty, confusing exhaustion for commitment. You are not obligated to destroy yourself for the comfort of others. Your energy, your peace, your focus, they are sacred resources, not open tabs for everyone to access. Protecting them is not cruelty, it's clarity. Because when you operate from overflow instead of depletion, everyone around you benefits. You love deeper, you create more freely, you lead more powerfully. But it all starts with putting yourself back at the center of your own life. When you become your own priority, you begin to understand what alignment really feels like. You stop forcing connections that don't feed your spirit. You stop accepting half effort from people who only show up when it's convenient. You stop settling for relationships, jobs, or habits that drain your energy instead of expanding it. Being your own priority gives you the courage to walk away from anything that costs your peace. It's not about arrogance, it's about awareness. You realize that not everything or everyone deserves access to you. And that's not coldness, that's maturity. When you finally understand your worth, you start making choices that reflect it. You stop fighting to prove your value and start protecting it. And that's when life begins to open up in ways it never did before. People might call you distant or detached when you start putting yourself first. Let them. What they call selfish is actually self-respect. What they label changed is actually healed. Growth looks like distance to those still standing in the same place. Don't let their discomfort make you question your evolution. Prioritizing yourself means outgrowing the version of you that lived on crumbs and called it love. It means no longer mistaking chaos for passion or toxicity for loyalty. You stop living for applause and start living for alignment. The right people will never be threatened by your boundaries. They'll be inspired by them. You're not pushing people away, you're pulling yourself closer to peace. And that's a trade worth making every time. When you truly become your own priority, you operate from a completely different level of power. You no longer need validation because you've built your confidence from the inside out. You no longer chase happiness because you've learned to generate it. You start leading your life intentionally, not emotionally. Every choice, every boundary, every step comes from a place of deep self-awareness and self-worth. That's when everything in your life begins to rise to meet you. Your relationships, your career, your mindset. Because the world mirrors your energy. When you treat yourself as a priority, it has no choice but to follow your lead. You become unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, but because you've learned how to move through it from a place of power, not permission. So remember this. You will never be anyone's priority until you become your own. Stop waiting for people to choose you, validate you, or save you. You are not an afterthought. You are the foundation. Pour into yourself so fully that anything less than reciprocity becomes instantly recognizable. Be the standard of how you deserve to be treated. Be the calm in your own storm, the certainty in your own chaos. Because when you prioritize yourself, you don't lose people. You lose the ones who benefited from your neglect. And what you gain is peace, purpose, and power beyond measure. Never wait to be chosen. Choose yourself every single time. You were not born to be chosen. You were born to shine so brightly that choosing you becomes inevitable. The truth is, the world doesn't reward the ones who wait quietly to be noticed. It rewards the ones who stand in their power, who walk with certainty, who know who they are without needing confirmation. You can't sit on the sidelines of your own story, hoping that someone will see your potential and hand you a moment. You create your own moments. You build your own opportunities. The energy of pick me is weak because it's rooted in doubt, but the energy of I choose me is unstoppable. It's magnetic, unshakable, undeniable. The people who win in life are not always the most talented. They're the ones who refuse to make being seen optional. You have to be your own spotlight before the world ever turns one on you. Choosing yourself is not arrogance, it's awakening. It's the moment you realize that waiting for permission to live fully is the slowest form of self-destruction. You are not here to play small. You are not here to dim your light so others can feel comfortable in their shadows. You were born with purpose, with something inside you that can't be replicated, and the longer you silence it, the louder regret will become. The truth is, no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to tell you it's your turn. You have to claim it. You have to look in the mirror and say, I'm done waiting. Because once you choose yourself, the universe rearranges itself to meet you at that decision. Confidence doesn't come after success. It comes before it. You build it every time you choose yourself, especially when no one else does. Being your own priority is about more than self-care. It's about self-command. It's about showing up for your goals when you'd rather give up. It's about investing in your growth even when it's uncomfortable. It's about being loyal to your potential, even when no one believes in it yet. You have to be your own advocate, your own protector, your own motivator. Because the world will test you. It will challenge your confidence, question your worth, and try to convince you that you're asking for too much. But when you are rooted in your truth, none of that noise can shake you. You move differently when you know your value. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop settling and start demanding. You stop living in fear of being too much and finally realize that you were never meant to be small enough for other people's comfort. And let's be clear, choosing yourself doesn't mean being selfish. It means you've learned to stop betraying yourself for acceptance. It means you've stopped prioritizing peacekeepers over peace. Too often we teach ourselves to tolerate what breaks us because we're afraid of being alone. But solitude is not punishment, it's power. It's the sacred space where clarity grows. It's where you remember who you are when the world stops shouting its opinions at you. When you choose yourself, you stop trying to belong everywhere and start belonging deeply to yourself. You stop living from a place of scarcity and start operating from abundance. You no longer see rejection as loss, you see it as alignment. Because what's meant for you will never require you to abandon yourself to have it. Once you fully embrace that mindset, your energy shifts. You begin walking through life differently. Calmer, stronger, more certain. You stop fighting for validation because your existence already validates itself. You understand that your power was never in being chosen. It was in choosing. You become intentional with your time, your energy, and your heart. You stop entertaining people and opportunities that drain you because your standards are now sacred. The world responds to that kind of clarity. Suddenly, the things that once ignored you start seeking you. The rooms you once dreamed of entering start opening up. That's not luck, it's alignment. The moment you stop doubting your worth, life starts mirroring your belief. The universe doesn't give you what you wish for. It gives you what you believe you deserve. And that's the ultimate Ruth, when you choose yourself first, everything else aligns around that choice. You stop being an option because you finally understand you were never meant to be one. You were meant to lead, to inspire, to create impact that outlives applause. You are meant to stand in your authenticity so fully that anyone who enters your life has no option but to meet you at your frequency. Choosing yourself doesn't make you hard to love. It makes you impossible to forget. Because people are drawn to those who are whole, not those who are waiting to be completed. Your confidence, your certainty, your conviction, they light a fire that commands attention. When you choose yourself, you become the standard others start reaching for. You stop waiting for destiny. You start defining it. Oh, Crusoe, here's your reminder. Stop waiting to be chosen. You are the choice. Stop living for the validation of those who can't see your vision. You are not a backup plan, not an afterthought, not a second option. You are the foundation, the centerpiece, the spark that ignites your own future. The day you decide to choose yourself is the day your entire life begins to shift. Everything you've been chasing starts chasing you. Everything that once felt impossible begins to unfold effortlessly. You are not here to be discovered. You are here to be remembered. Choose yourself, stand in your power, and never again settle for being anything less than the priority you were born to be. Or you were not created to exist quietly. You were born to leave an imprint so powerful that even your silence speaks. The world will try to make you believe you need to be chosen, accepted, or approved to matter. But the truth is, your worth isn't dependent on recognition. It's inherent. You don't have to prove you deserve space. You already do. The moment you stop waiting for validation, you start living with liberation. Too many people waste their potential trying to fit into molds that were never made for them. They hide their brilliance behind fear, hoping that if they stay small, they'll be safe. But safety doesn't lead to legacy. Playing small might protect you from rejection, but it also prevents you from rising. You cannot be remembered for what you were too afraid to express. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs the original version of you that refuses to shrink. When you embrace your power, something shifts deep within. You begin to see that being bold is not about being loud, it's about being certain. Certainty is quiet, but it's unshakable. It's the energy that walks into a room and commands presence without demanding it. It's knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you will no longer tolerate. This level of confidence doesn't come from luck. It comes from self-respect, from surviving your own storms, from rebuilding yourself after being broken. It's earned. And once you have it, no one can take it away. The world can doubt you, dismiss you, even overlook you, but it can never dismantle the strength of someone who knows exactly who they are. When you walk in that kind of certainty, you stop chasing opportunities and start attracting alignment. It's easy to talk about power, it's harder to live it. Because real power requires sacrifice. It means saying no when yes feels easier. It means walking away from situations that drain you, even when your heart wants to stay. It means choosing discipline over distraction, alignment over attention, and growth over comfort. Power is not in how loudly you speak. It's in how clearly you decide. Every boundary you set, every standard you enforce, every time you choose yourself over chaos, you're reclaiming your energy, and that energy becomes magnetic. The people and opportunities that match your new frequency will find their way to you, while those that don't will naturally fall away. That's not loss, it's transformation. It's the universe making space for the version of you that finally understands that being powerful isn't about control, it's about clarity. To live in your power means to stop settling for almost love, almost respect, almost success. Almost is the language of fear. The fear of letting go of something that isn't working because you don't trust that something better will come. But better always comes for those brave enough to make room for it. You can't rise while holding on to things that keep you grounded in mediocrity. You can't fly while carrying the weight of people who were never meant to go with you. It's okay to outgrow people, places, and patterns. It's okay to evolve. The truth is, growth is lonely, but loneliness is the price of alignment, and alignment is the birthplace of peace. Once you taste the peace that comes from living in truth, Chaos will never feel like home again. Don't let the world convince you that humility means silence or that confidence means arrogance. You can be humble and still know your worth. You can be kind and still demand respect. You can be loving and still have boundaries. True humility is not dimming your light. It's shining so brightly that others remember they can too. When you live unapologetically, you give permission for others to do the same. You become proof that authenticity is not weakness, it's strength. The world needs more people who are real, raw, and rooted in purpose. Stop filtering yourself to make others comfortable. Stop apologizing for your ambition, your fire, your voice. The ones who are intimidated by your light were never meant to walk beside you anyway. Let them fall away so you can rise freely. And when you finally rise, when you step fully into your truth, you'll realize you never needed to become anyone else to be powerful. You just needed to remember who you already were. The version of you that has always known deep down that you were made for more. The one who dreamed even when life told you not to. The one who kept showing up even after being overlooked. That's your real power, not perfection, but persistence. Not validation, but vision. The power of never giving up on yourself. Because when you believe in your worth, everything in your life begins to reflect it. You attract peace, purpose, and people who see you clearly. You stop chasing belonging because you already belong to yourself. And in that truth lies the kind of freedom no one can take from you. So hear this and let it sink in. You are not here to be chosen. You are here to be remembered. Stop waiting for permission to live loudly, boldly, fully. Stop dimming your brilliance to fit into places that were never built for your greatness. You are not too much. You are exactly enough for the life you're meant to lead. Own your story, protect your energy, and walk like the universe moves with you, because it does. Never settle for being seen when you were born to be a felter. Never play small when you were designed to stand tall. You are the light, the fire, the voice that cannot be silenced. Don't just exist. Leave a mark so unforgettable that even when you're gone, your energy still speaks. Be the storm, be the standard, be the spark. Always. A.